The letter said congratulations. It felt like a death sentence. I'd been accepted to college full ride, they called it. Except the ride wasn't free. It never is. When you're 18 years old and someone hands you papers promising that education equals success, you sign them. You don't read the fine print about interest rates compounding daily. You don't calculate what $847 a month for 25 years actually means. You don't understand that you're signing away your future before you've even lived it. I thought college was the answer, the way out, the path to something better. Instead, it became a trap I'll never escape. I am one of 45 million Americans drowning in student loan debt. I did everything I was told to do, worked hard, got good grades, graduated, found a job, and I'm still $160,000 in debt at 34 years old, with no house, no savings, no retirement, and no way out. Because in America, we don't just sell young people an education, we sell them alive wrapped in predatory loans that will follow them until they die. This is what that looks like. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, working-class neighborhood where most people worked at the GM plant or in logistics for one of the warehouses outside town. My dad drove a delivery truck for Ups for 30 years. My mom worked the register at Kroger, then later in the deli section when they needed someone full-time. We lived in a small 3-bedroom ranch house built in the 1970s. The heating was terrible. The roof leaked when it rained hard. But it was ours, paid off after 25 years of mortgage payments. My parents made maybe $65,000 a year combined. Not poverty, but not comfortable either. We had what we needed: food, clothes, a roof, but nothing extra. No vacations, no fancy dinners out, no new cars. My dad drove the same Ford F-150 for 16 years. I was the oldest of 3 kids. My brother and sister are both younger 5 and 7 years behind me. I was the one who was supposed to make it. The one who'd do better than working retail or driving trucks. The one who'd get a college degree and a career and break the cycle. That's what my parents told me since I was in middle school. You're smart. You're going to college. You're going to have opportunities we never had. They meant well. They believed the promise that education was the ticket to the middle class, that a degree meant stability and success. They'd grown up in a different America. One where a high school diploma and a strong work ethic could get you a union job with a pension. That America didn't exist anymore by the time I graduated high school in 2008. But nobody told us that. I got decent grades, not valedictorian, but solid 3.6 GPA. I took the SAT twice and scored 1,180. I played soccer. I volunteered at the food bank because my guidance counselor said colleges liked that. I applied to 8 schools, all in Ohio, because out-of-state tuition was impossibly expensive. I got accepted to Ohio State, University of Cincinnati, and a private college called Ashland University. Ohio State was my dream: big campus, good reputation, Big Ten sports. But the financial aid package wasn't great. Even with grants and loans, my parents would have needed to contribute $8,000 a year. They didn't have $8,000. They didn't have $800. Then I got a letter from Ashland. It said I'd been accepted with a full scholarship, tuition covered, room and board included. It felt like winning the lottery. My parents cried. My guidance counselor congratulated me. I posted about it on Facebook and got 100 likes. I signed the acceptance papers in April 2008. I didn't understand what I was signing. Nobody explained it to me, not my parents, not my guidance counselor, not the financial aid officer at Ashland. The full scholarship covered tuition. That was it. It didn't cover room and board. It didn't cover FEs, technology FEs, lab FEs, parking FEs, health insurance, activity FEs. It didn't cover books, which cost $600 to $800 per semester. It didn't cover a laptop, which was required. It didn't cover transportation, food outside the meal plan, or any of the other 1,000 little costs that add up. The first year, those uncovered costs totaled about $14,000. The financial aid office offered me loans to cover it: Federal Stafford loans, Perkins loans, and something called a private education loan through a company called Sallie Mae. I was 18. I didn't know what any of those words meant. I just knew I needed to check yes on the forms so I could go to college. So I did. I started at Ashland in August 2008. 3 weeks later, Lehman Brothers collapsed. The economy imploded. My dad's hours got cut at Ups. My mom's hours at Kroger got reduced. They couldn't help me financially anymore, not that they'd been able to help much anyway. I took out more loans. Every semester, I'd meet with financial aid and they'd present me with a new packet of loan documents. I signed them all. I had to. I couldn't quit. I'd already taken out loans for the first year. If I dropped out, I'd owe that money with nothing to show for it. I had to finish. That's what everyone said finishing was the only way the debt would be worth it. I majored in communications because I liked writing, and the advisor said it was versatile. I joined the campus newspaper. I worked part-time at the library for $8.25 an hour, 12 hours a week. I sent every paycheck home to my parents to help with their bills. Every semester, the loans got bigger. Tuition went up 4% my sophomore year, then 5% my junior year. Their fees increased. The meal plan got more expensive. My rent went up. The private loans had variable interest rates that kept climbing. By junior year, I was taking out $18,000 per semester just to stay enrolled. I graduated in May 2012 with a bachelor's degree in communications and $142,000 in student loan debt. I was 22 years old. I'd never had a credit card. Never bought a car. Never signed a lease. But I was $142,000 in debt. The loans broke down like this. $52,000 in federal Stafford loans at 6.8% interest. $18,000 in federal Perkins loans at 5% interest. $72,000 in private Sallie Mae loans at rates between 8% and 11%. I didn't understand what those numbers meant in real terms. I didn't know that 11% interest on $72,000 meant I'd be paying nearly $8,000 a year in interest alone before touching the principal. I didn't know that my $142,000 in loans would balloon to over $300,000 over the life of the loans if I made minimum payments. I just knew I needed a job. Fast. I applied to over 300 jobs between May and September 2012. Marketing coordinator positions, communications specialist roles, entry-level PR jobs, content writer positions, social media manager roles, anything remotely related to my degree. I got 7 interviews, no offers. Every rejection email said the same thing. We've decided to move forward with candidates who have more experience, but every job posting required 2 to 3 years of experience for entry-level positions. How was I supposed to get experience if nobody would hire me without experience? By October, I was desperate. I took a job as a customer service representative at a call center for an insurance company. The pay was $13.5 an hour, 40 hours a week, no benefits for the first 6 months. I'd be making about $28,000 a year before taxes. My student loan payment started in November, 6 months after graduation. The bill came in the mail late for $7 per month, every month. For 25 years, I made $2,100 a month after taxes. Rent for a studio apartment in a safe neighborhood was $750. Utilities were $100. My phone was $80. Car insurance was $120. Gas to get to work was $120. Groceries were $150 if I was careful. That left me with $680 a month. My loan payment was $847. I called the loan servicer Navient, which had taken over my Sallie Mae loans. I explained that I couldn't afford $847 a month. The representative said I could apply for an income-driven repayment plan for my federal loans. That would lower those payments to about $280 a month based on my income. That helped, but my private loan 72 worth didn't qualify for income-driven repayment. Private loans don't have those protections. I had to pay the full amount or go into default. I asked about deferment. The representative said I could defer for up to 12 months, but interest would keep accruing. At 9% average interest, that was $6,500 in interest over 12 months. My $72,000 would become $78,500, and I'd still have to start making payments after the deferment ended. I asked if there was any way to lower the payment. She said no, private loans don't have hardship programs. They don't have forgiveness options. They don't have anything. You pay or you default. I asked what happens if I default. She said they'd sue me, garnish my wages, ruin my credit, and possibly go after any CO signers. My dad had CO signed my private loans. If I defaulted, they'd come after him. He was 60 years old, still driving for ups, still living paycheck to paycheck. I couldn't do that to him. So I paid. I worked 60-hour weeks, 40 at the call center, 20 at a restaurant on nights and weekends. I waitressed at an Applebee's for $4.5 an hour plus tips. On good nights, I'd make $100. On bad nights, $40. I was bringing in about $3,400 a month working 2 jobs. After rent, utilities, and basic expenses, I had $900 left. I pay $847 to loans and have $53 for everything else. Clothes, toiletries, anything unexpected. I lived like that for 3 years. No vacations, no going out with friends, no dating. I couldn't afford to go to dinner or a movie. I wore the same clothes until they fell apart. I cut my own hair. I didn't go to the doctor because I didn't have insurance. I was 25 years old and I felt 60. In 2015, I got a better job. Marketing coordinator at a mid-sized manufacturing company. The pay was $42,000. Real benefits, a $401,000 match. It felt like I'd finally made it. I was making $3,100 a month after taxes. I could breathe a little. I moved to a slightly better apartment, $850 a month, but it had a dishwasher and a washer-dryer in the unit. I contributed 3% to my $401,000 to get the company match. I was still paying $847 a month in loans. My federal loans had been on income-driven repayment, so the balance had actually grown. Interest was accruing faster than my payments covered it. My original $70,000 in federal loans was now $81,000. My private loans were down to $64,000, but I paid nearly $30,000 toward them over 3 years. Most of that had gone to interest. Then my car died. The transmission went out on my 2004 Honda Civic. The repair would cost more than the car was worth. I needed a car to get to work. I had no savings. Every extra dollar had gone to loans. I bought a used 2011 Ford Focus for $9,000. I had to finance it $210 a month for 5 years at 7% interest, because my credit score was 620 from carrying high loan balances. Now my monthly bills were rent, $850, student loans, $847, car payment, $210, insurance, $140, gas, $150, utilities, $110, phone, $80, groceries, $300, total, $2,687, income after taxes, $3,100, left over, $413. I couldn't save. I couldn't build an emergency fund. I was 30 years old and had $200 in my checking account. In 2017, my dad had a heart attack, triple bypass surgery. He survived, but he couldn't work anymore. He had to retire early. His pension was reduced because he retired at 62 instead of 65. He and my MOM were struggling. I wanted to help them. They'd sacrificed for me my whole life, but I couldn't. I was barely surviving myself. That's when I realized the full weight of what I'd done. My parents had worked their entire lives and had nothing. And now I was 30 years old, college educated, working a professional job. And I also had nothing. The degree hadn't changed anything. I had just traded one kind of financial struggle for another, except now I had 6 figures of debt on top of it. I am 34 now. I've been paying on my loans for 12 years. I've paid $122,000 toward them. I still owe $156,000. Let me say that again. I've paid $122,000. I owe $156,000. My original balance was $142,000. I've paid more than my original loan amount, and I owe more than I started with. That's how student loans work in America. The interest compounds so fast that unless you can pay more than the minimum, which most people can't, you never make progress. The balance grows. You pay for decades. You die still owing money. My federal loans are on income-driven repayment. I pay $340 a month. That doesn't cover the interest. The balance grows by about $200 a month. In 15 more years, when I've made 300 payments, the remaining balance will be forgiven. But that forgiveness is treated as taxable income. If I owe $180,000 at that point, I'll get a tax bill for roughly $50,000. I won't have $50,000. I'll take out a payment plan with the IRS and spend another decade paying it off. My private loans are on a 25-year repayment plan. I pay $507 a month. I'll finish paying them off in 2037. I'll be 47 years old. I'll have paid $152,000 total for $72,000 borrowed. I'll never own a home. My debt-to-income ratio is too high to qualify for a mortgage. Even if I could qualify, I can't save for a down payment. Every dollar goes to loans. I'll never retire. I have $11,000 in my $401,000. At this rate, I'll have maybe $150,000 by 65. That's not enough to retire on. I'll work until I physically can't anymore. I'll probably never have kids. I can't afford childcare. I can't afford a bigger apartment. I can't afford anything beyond basic survival. This is what student loan debt does. It doesn't just delay your life, it erases it. Here's what makes me angry. I did everything right. I got good grades. I went to college. I worked multiple jobs. I made every payment on time. I sacrificed everything. And I'm still drowning. The system is designed this way. Colleges raise tuition every year because they know students will just take out bigger loans. They build luxury dorms and fancy gyms and bloated administrative departments and pass the cost to teenagers who don't understand what they're signing. Loan servicers make money of our debt. Navid made $1.2 billion in profit in 2021. They profit when we can't pay off our loans. They profit when interest compounds. They profit when we're trapped in 30-year repayment plans. Our suffering is their business model. The government allows private lenders to charge 11% interest on education loans while offering them bankruptcy protection. You can discharge credit card debt, medical debt, even gambling debt in bankruptcy, but not student loans. Student loans follow you forever. You can't escape them. They'll garnish your wages. They'll take your tax refunds. They'll take your social security when you're 70 years old. Politicians talk about student loan forgiveness like it's radical. Like it's a handout to irresponsible people who made bad choices. But we were kids. We were 18 years old being told that college was mandatory for success. We were handed loans with predatory interest rates and no financial literacy education. We were victims of a system designed to trap us. And now we're being told it's our fault. I think about the college administrators making $300,000 a year, while students graduate with $200,000 in debt. I think about loan company executives getting bonuses while borrowers kill themselves because they can't escape the debt. I think about politicians who paid $2,000 for their entire degree in 1975, telling my generation we should have worked harder or chosen cheaper schools. The average cost of college has increased 1,200% since 1980. Wages have increased 67%. The math doesn't work. It's impossible for most people to work their way through college anymore. The system forces you to take loans. Then it punishes you for taking loans. This isn't about personal responsibility. This is about a system designed to extract wealth from young people before they've even entered the workforce. It's predatory. It's immoral. And it's destroying an entire generation. I'll be paying my loans until I'm 47, maybe longer. I've already paid for 12 years. I'll pay for 23 more. 35 years of my life gone. Paying for 4 years of education that didn't even get me a decent job right away. A piece of paper that says I completed 120 credit hours. That's what I paid $300,000 for when you include interest. A piece of paper and a lifetime of debt. I don't regret going to college. I regret that going to college meant signing my life away. I regret that this country treats education as a profit center instead of a public good. I regret that we trap teenagers in debt they don't understand and then abandon them to drown in it. If this story resonates with you, I'm sorry. That probably means you're trapped too. Hit the like button and drop a comment below. Subscribe for more real stories about what life in America actually looks like. And if you're still in high school or considering college, read every word of your loan documents. Calculate what your payments will actually be. Understand that the debt is real and it never goes away. Nobody told me that. I'm telling you now. I am 34 years old. I work a decent job. I live in a small apartment. I drive a paid-off car. I have no savings, no house, no retirement, no future, because I went to college in America.